does seem to need a little more attitude than it has. I'm going to use the LA2 because it has a really good fast attack. Incredibly recorded, incredibly played. I'm going to squeeze a tiny bit more out of that, and I'm going to put a tiny bit more poke out of it. Just to get a little bit more of that body, the fingers. But instead of pulling a decapitator in, because I do want to add a little aggressiveness, I'm just go. That's cool, actually. Okay, so this piano is on the bridge, and then there's some normal pianos on the verses. So I'm going to create a little more energy on the bridge piano, do a little Beatlesque Fairchild. Now together. I do feel we can get a little more thunder bass in general on the whole top. Gonna let this keep going. I've got a lot of mid-range on that piano on purpose because there's gonna be a lot of vocal parts, there's gonna be some string parts, and I feel like it does sound similar to a vibe where you want a lot of fur on that piano, almost Lady Madonna-esque, where it's like biting pretty hard. So you're using the Fairchild on the bridge piano and the absolute coolest mid-range EQ I like, which is the 550 API. Let's see what reverb we have on this snare. I feel like the original 480 Hall that I really like on drums will work on this, but we gotta back off a little bit. So I have this under the snare plate, which is under the plate section of the 480. I might bring it out a little bit more. Pull it down. What you want to do is just feather it. You don't want to really hear the reverb too much. But the thing about the 480 is it's known for being such a bright reverb on drums and stuff like that, vocals that have a lot of percussive side, that it works really well when you just use it to tuck in things just underneath a little bit because it's so bright. So you can set the room size depending on how you want to set it. I don't like to pre-delay too much on drums. going to put it on toms as well. Same spot. I'm going to bring in the electric bus now that the song is kicking and just hear where we're at. Got the Abbey Road again. I'm going to pull it down a little bit and just let it tickle. Favorite electric guitar compressor. The LA3A, I'm not even going to want to hit it because I know this is going to take off quite a bit once the song goes. I'm going to put a little Helios, maybe a tiny bit of mid-range. Expand the reverb a little bit on this electric guitar verb. Change the chamber / plate. All right. Pulling the pads. Go into the big part. This one needs some focus EQ as well. It's a great tone, but it still has some harshness that's really bothering me. And I do remember it bothering me before. So there's something going on between 1K and 4K on that guitar that was funky. On top of that, though, I am going to add, this one's probably fine, the black and blue, the newer edition one. Just want to tuck it a little bit. this section. Wah guitars. My opinion. If it's a Shaft song, great. Gotta be very careful because you can date things pretty quickly and make it sound too Hendrixy or whatever. So what I like to do is create almost like a feature by panning it around and kind of making it kind of go all around. I do like this plugin. AutoPan has always seemed to be relatively fun. I'm going to take a little bit of the top brightness out of it as well, some of the clickiness. And then I'm going to put a phaser on it. I can already tell you it needs to have a little more space. So the first thing I would do is I would reach for a reverb on the strings of my choice. And that would be the Liquid Sonics Cinematic Room. This puts the orchestra back a tiny bit more, but it also gives quite a bit of proximity to the whole track when it's going to blend it all in together. I already tell you the issue I'm hearing here. A lot of it is everything feels like it's forward. That cello part at the end, it's going to go with the vocal, but it being farther away and behind things, it's going to create a little bit of problem there. So I had to find a way to balance the two. I'm not going to do any EQing on the string section. It sounds good as is. I'm going to mess around with the reverbs to make sure that the reverb is set correctly. And it's going to have to just see how we can do with automation to blend it in completely. But the strings really don't come in until the second half of the intro. But we have to see if that's going to be too loud or if it can be tucked underneath. And a lot of it's not going to be able to know if it's accurately going to be enough until we had the vocal. But for now, we can just try it without. Let's pull up the vocals.
There's a song inside my heart, a beacon when the land is dark, singing like the morning lark. Tonight, when shadows fill the day, I'm gonna sing it anyway, yes. It's a song to ease the pain.
You guys see me using this MJUC on vocals.
It's a song that sings.
It's one of those things where if I pull up the heaviest part of the song, I don't want to go terribly hard at all on this guy. Because this is one of those compressors I've stressed in the past that does so much without visually seeing what it's doing, meaning if it's only tapping, it's doing quite a lot. So I'm going to go to the loudest part of the song and work backwards when it comes to setting up the vocal chain.
And all these prison walls, they're gonna tumble, gonna fall.
If I go back to the beginning,
singing like the when shadows fill the day.
same era, but she's just singing a lot harder. So the mid-range is starting to give in a little bit here. So instead of compressing,
and all these prison walls,
I'm going to add a little bit of multiband on just her voice.
and all these prison walls, they're gonna tumble, gonna fall. And all these prison walls,
Compared to
singing like the morning, shadows fill the day. And all these prison walls.
much better. Now doing that in the future, it's going to balance everything out. I can still automate that by hand and get things a little tighter. But once we start getting this to fold down in the chain,
And all these prison walls.
the other option I know is in the sharpness mode of Soothe. It starts grabbing things better in the high mid-range.
And all these prison walls. And all these prison walls. And all these prison walls. And all these prison walls.
I don't want to take too much of it off because clearly she's pushing because the track is going hard. The reason why I'm working on it without the track so far is because I want to get it in a good place before I start adjusting. And there is a philosophy behind that. My philosophy is mixing a track like an instrumental track and then putting the vocals in with it versus putting the vocals in as it goes on. For some reason, when I do that, I feel like it's not giving enough attention to the instruments. And by putting focus on the vocals on their own after the instrumental and then mixing them together and adjusting, I feel like I'm adjusting the problems only versus letting the vocals do its thing and letting the instrumental do its thing. If that makes sense. In reality, I just feel like by pulling in and afterwards, you are putting focus on the stuff that's the problem, the issues that are causing the issues to step over each other versus not even thinking about it when you're combining the two. At least that's how I see it. All right, I'm going to bring in this guy on my 2-bus. For this song, I'm going to actually go with the glue, SSL glue. Now this setting I have is the attack is 30 milliseconds and the release is on 0.1. I have the wet down and I don't want to hit it terrible amount. I just want enough to glue it. Keep an eye on the print. That's with it. Let's pull in this piano. Let's just do piano first. We'll get to that solo. You can hear the drums just coming through just a little bit. A tiny bit of EQ on the right side will add just a little bit of air. I'm going to put a little bit of reverb on the right side as well on the piano. That's a Bill Schneid trick. That will get me a little bit away from too much muffledness on the reverb for the piano. I'm getting closer to the point where I can just open it up. That's quite a lot of low end. Actually, I think maybe some spring on this too. So what I'm hearing, I'm already hearing a problem with the drums, and that is cymbals are crashing every time the actual gates on the toms open. So I'm going to have to go and just hand do these real quick and fast forward through them. And I'll just hand gate them because they're causing way too much issues. I don't want to delete them per se. I'll just mute the guys. It sounds like crap like this, but if you put it in the track, you're not going to hear it over everything else. And it's taking all that horrible harshness out of the cymbals. Back to the Wurlitzer. These are just chords. Put a little bit of this plate on it. I'm going to play the melody of the keyboards here. If I can remember, the original had a little delay on that. Just put a little bit off. They could get past the whole feedback loop. That's pretty cool. Sounds like there's an 8th note and then a 16th note, left and right. little reverb on that too.
Peace. Hoping.
Not getting enough thunder. Put it in the center a little more.